Welcome back to some Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today? Where we're back. Yeah, I'm back. We're back to live episodes. I have, I think, 0 backlog at the moment, if I recall. Yep, literally 0 backlog. So we have to essentially record some more episodes. Probably tomorrow, which is going to be strange because it's going to be my birthday, but we'll see. But good evening, everyone, and I'm Fawnhallow. It's 11 PM on Monday, September 1st, 2025. You might be like, dear darling, where have you been for the past weekend? Well, the truth is, I don't know why I said the truth is as if it's like some expose, but no, me and quite a few of our friends went to go to the Geoguessr World Championships. And you might be like, Geoguessr has a World Championships? And that was exactly my reaction when my friends were like, do you want to go to this? But if you never played Geoguessr, it's... Okay, that was weird. If you never played Geoguessr, it's a game which is essentially, as my friend describes it, Google Street View... I can't speak. Google Street View, the game. The essential idea is you're placed somewhere in the world on Google Street View, and the aim of the game is to basically put yourself on the map as being as close as possible to wherever the Street View thing is. It's been out for years now. Like, I remember when like people first started talking about like when it's very early conception. I gave it a try and I was like, I am terrible at this, and I never thought about it since. But I mean, it's been several years. Maybe it's been over a decade, I think, since it's been released, and it's exploded. You know, it's been doing pretty well, and there's World Championships, and this year it was in Copenhagen, and we have like a friend who's lives pretty close to Copenhagen, so we're like, yeah, you know, let's do like sort of a double duty, visit them, and also go watch this World Championships at the same time, and that's essentially what we did. And I mean, I guess I'll talk about the Geoguessr World Championships. I myself am not clued into the meta of Geoguessr or anything like that. I have 2 friends who are very good at Geoguessr. I mean, well, when I say very good, but I guess they're not like world champions. We weren't like that. That would be crazy. But they're like, I don't know, like gold, I think, maybe higher. In Geoguessr's ranked mode. I think they do a lot of duoing together. I'm not really sure. I'm never really bad when we actually play Geoguessr. Mainly because I have no idea about the meta, but they are very good. Like, I remember one time we went to basically like a games con, and then one of the stalls was like a Geoguessr, and they basically sat down and they got like I don't know if they got a perfect score or an almost perfect score or something. Yeah, honestly, they just killed it. But yeah, they're extremely good at Geoguessr, at least in my novice eyes of Geoguessr, and so they know a lot more what's going on. And then there are 4 of us who have varying degrees. You know, some know more about proximity, but me myself, I know very little about the meta. I know that the meta extends more than the actual elements on screen. Like I know that a lot of people I just picked up the wrong thing. Identify things by, like, you know, looking at the topography of like the place, the biome, etc., the weather, all that sort of good stuff. But I also do know that there's some meta elements as well. Like, you can see parts of a Google Street car photos, like if they're of a certain quality, I think it's most likely in like this region in Russia, or if you look at, like, you can see the antenna in like certain areas in certain countries. You know, it's an immediate clue to that. I think there was one as well where it's like you can look down at the Google Street View car, and if it's got like duct tape or something on like the sides of it, it's like Nigeria or I generally cannot remember, but it's things like this. There's a lot of meta elements. It's not all meta elements, like, but I think probably the bigger part, I'd assume, don't quote me on this, is more like very region specific knowledge, like looking at a license plate and knowing which country it's from, looking at the telephone poles and knowing that's like indicative of this region of India or something. It's very esoteric, bespoke, specific knowledge. You know, is it something which you need in day-to-day life? No, but most video games aren't exactly trying to replicate practical knowledge. It's more of a demonstration of like a specific type of, you know, skill. And honestly, I find it very impressive. Even with the understanding that a lot of it can be memorization, a lot of it is, it's basically just sort of like real life investigative work, you know, being able to pinpoint things, because I mean, the world is a huge place. There's so much you can say, you know, about like a certain like a telegraph pole in a certain region, but if you don't see the telegraph pole and there's no, you know, information you can derive from it, you have to put together multiple different pieces. What if a certain region has something which, you know, is like the one exception to the rule, where their recycling bins are of a different form, you know, something like that. You just have to sort of know all of these and use context clues to figure it out. So, I actually found it like very thrilling to watch. Like the first, like we didn't go for the entire day. The entire day started at 12. It was crazy. Like it started at 12 and finished at like 11 p.m. or something. But that was for like all the qualifying sort of matches, which is insanity. And we as a friend group were like, we're not going to do that. We'll watch the big ones. Why don't we watch, you know, the semi-finals, third place finals, and finals, which started at like 6 p.m. or something. The thing which I spoke with another friend about, who also didn't know much about Geoguessr, but we both found it really entertaining, is the fact that it's very sort of like snappy. You know, like once the match starts, it's just like boom, boom, boom. Rounds are 60 seconds long. Even if one round doesn't seem very exciting, it immediately moves to the next. Once that entire sort of round is over, so I guess like each guess moves to the next. Once that entire round is over, then boom, you get to the next round, and that's it. And they have different like modes. Like the first mode is like quite regular. You can move around and do whatever you want. You can look, etc., etc. But then the second round is you can't move whatsoever. You can only like zoom around and pan and the camera, etc., etc. Third round's back to normal, and fourth round's another no moving. But then if they make it to the mythical fifth round, which is what I think made it so exciting, it's a no move, no panning, no zooming round. Essentially, you are given an image from anywhere in Street View, and you just have to guess. And it's absolutely crazy because these professionals, obviously in this esport, are insanely good. I'm looking at this sort of thing, and like I can at least, I think, with 60% accuracy, I will get the right continent. You know, like I see a place and I'm like, okay, I mean, I would guess this is somewhere in Southeast Asia, and like, oh, it's like Thailand, and I'm like, okay, well, I didn't know it was Thailand, but I mean, those definitely look like, it just kind of looks like Southeast Asia. A lot of other times I look at it and be like, I don't know where this is. The only one I was really confident on was, I looked at one and I was like, that's UK. Like, that's 100% UK. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere in the UK. And it was just pure vibes just by looking at it. But yeah, there's a lot of very interesting sort of like bits and pieces, and it's incredible the things they do. Like, they look at it, they have a minute to answer. You know, I think every single pro basically in the first like 5-10 seconds in regular rounds just goes, yeah, I know exactly where this is. But then it's like, the points are not made in like finding the right country, it's finding the right region of a country, and then nailing down the exact street, intersection, city, village, town, random field that it is. And it's absolutely insane sort of watching them work, because you see them sort of clicking around a lot, and I'm like, I'm not really sure what they're doing, but you know, it's like they're comparing the topography about a place and like seeing like, does it make sense for what I'm looking at right now? Yes, no, and that's what they're investigating, and it's just so genuinely crazy to see them go. I guess I would say spoilers for World Championships, but I actually can't remember the name of the people who won. Actually, I think I can remember. But the third place final, so like the two semi-finals were nice sort of warm-ups. They, you know, they felt reasonably one-sided, I think. It wasn't like, I think one of them was like 3-0 and the other was like a 3-1 or something. But there wasn't many points where I was like, whoa, you know, let's go either way. But the third place final and the final itself were both beautiful, because they felt so perfectly matched for each other. They went for like beat for beat, blow to blow. And the thing with Geoguessr is basically, as the rounds go on, the scoring system is everyone starts with 6,000 health points essentially, and the two, they both make like guesses, and whoever's the furthest away takes damage based on how how much further away than they were from the other person's guess. Or how much further from the actual location compared to the other person that is like the amount of HP damage they take. But the thing is, as the rounds progress further, that damage starts scaling up. By the time it gets to the final round, the damage is 5.5 times scaled. So in like the first round, you know, most of the guesses were like at most doing like 1,000 damage or something. The final round, like even being, you know, just several hundred meters off means that you're taking like thousands of damage, which makes everything very lethal, makes every single meter count. Which made it so thrilling to see them, you know, click. And there's like, you know, they had like meta strategies as well, you know, where apparently they have like different specialties. Like some of them are really good when there's like, very little information and just doing sort of like vibe guessing, as they say. Some people are really like good at investigating and finding all these little details. So like one of the matchups was someone who was like really good at like no moving things. So then basically every single time there was a guess where it looked like they weren't going to get very much information, because his opponent was really good at move rounds and like investigating, he would basically just like look around and be like, all right, I'm just sending it because I'm pretty sure this is where it is, and it just starts a timer down for the other person where they don't have 60 seconds, they now have like I think 15 or 20 seconds to get a guess in. It's crazy, and it was really intense, and it was genuinely electrifying, I think, to watch, especially the final rounds of the third place finals and the final finals, because they were both, again, they just got an image, and the person who won overall, I think his name is Radusi, was just crazy. He just absolutely popped off in the finals. I think he got like a 5k guess, which is basically when you get, I don't know what distance is required, like maybe like within 10 meters or something of where the actual pinpoint camera location is. It was insanity, and it all came down to like a very final guess where his opponent, I think, took a calculated risk. It was like, I'm gonna lock us in early, and he locked in, I can't remember, somewhere in like America, like West Coast or something. I genuinely don't remember. As soon as he did that, you could see in his camera he went, oh no, I just messed up. I don't know what he recognized. I don't know what made him change his mind, made him realize that it wasn't there, because apparently the actual answer was like in Chile or something. And Radusi, the person who won in the end, had like 15 seconds or whatever just to, you know, put it together and lock in the answer, and it just, he won off that. It was so crazy. There's so many moments where like someone was like making slow chip damage, getting themselves in a lead, and then suddenly they made a mistake, or the other person made like a really good guess, and it just sort of catapulted in the other direction. There's not many, I think, sports which have mechanics which allow such wild slingshots back and forth, and for it to feel fair at the same time, which is I think what made Geoguessr so exciting to watch. Because at no point did I think the slingshotting was unfair, because it was always proportional, you know. Even if you won most of the previous rounds, if it's only slow chip damage, then it doesn't matter as much as you making a much more costly mistake, or your opponent getting a much better guess in a later round, which is a very rare thing, I think, from a scoring perspective. I did have a small chat with one of my friends who was like super into it and watched it last year, and she was like, oh, you know, like previously there wasn't even like a round cap, like, and one of the things got to like round 30 and it just took a ridiculous amount of time, and I couldn't imagine like being that good at getting to round 30, but like quite a few got to round 10, and that is just insane, to be honest. You know, obviously I'm not even like a lay person or like a rookie or novice when it comes to Geoguessr. I'm like a complete beginner. So it all just looks like magic to me, in a sense. Like, I understand conceptually how we do it, but it looks like magic in the sense that we just look at something where like I immediately know which country this is in because of X, Y, Z. But I have done like played Geoguessr before. Again, I'm not particularly crazy about it, to be honest. I don't find it that fun, or like that exhilarating. But I think strangely it works quite well as watching esports. Even if I don't enjoy playing it that much, I think it's because obviously it's a very exploration-based thing, and you know me, I don't like my exploration-based puzzles. I like my logic-based puzzles. Memorization aspect I'm sure I could get into, and I'm sure I could be okay at Geoguessr, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't appeal to me. But like when we used to play sometimes as But there was like a battle royale mode when you could just guess a country, which I found kind of fun because, you know, I guess think it's, the part I find fun is like knowing the flags, I suppose, which can help me a lot. And then, you know, there's every single time there'll be a very rare guess where it'd be like China, Japan, or South Korea, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, you know, I can read like the Chinese signs, well, not all the Chinese signs or Japanese signs, but I can at least do a decent job. And South Korea, you know, I'm like more familiar than some of my friend group about South Korea, which makes it a bit easier. But you know, that's a very niche specialty which often doesn't come up because I think a lot of China is unmapped in Geoguessr because it requires in Google Maps, and you know, China's great firewall against it. But yeah, it genuinely was like a really enjoyable watch. I'm so glad I went to it. Because definitely I had my apprehensions, not like that I would have a good time, but apprehensions of being like, I hope I enjoy it, essentially. And I very much enjoyed it. You know, I thought it was an absolute blast. I had a great time. Would I absolutely go again? Yeah, if things have that level of electricity. And at the very least, it would get me curious to watch Geoguessr more often. I will be honest, it didn't make me want to go play Geoguessr, but it did make me appreciate it a lot. But yeah, I think my only complaint is it's an absolute marathon event. Like, if you're like a fan of Geoguessr, I cannot imagine staying. Like, it's an entire day, like 12-hour event or so. That's ridiculous. How are you meant to do anything like that? You can go and leave, of course, and I guess you would just check out the matches you want to check out, but that feels like it must be exhausting for the players too. I don't know, there was apparently some other stuff, like I think the Sidemen were there. I'm not like, I don't know much about the Sidemen, so I can't really comment. I just know they're big YouTubers, they're British, KSI is one of them. I don't really know what stuff YouTube videos they make, but I think they're in that sort of like real life YouTube where they're like all X holiday against X holiday or something like that, right? I don't mean that as like to be disparaging to them. I just generally don't consume their content. But they were there, which I think probably was cool for people who are big fans of him. There was a lot of like random performers in between, like really surprised me. I was like, we have like a musical artist performing in between almost each of these like sections, and crazy enough, the final one was Iconopop, who sing the song, their like song which most people know is I Don't Care, I Love It. And when I saw that on the schedule, like when we were saying it, I was like, Iconopop? I'm like, that Iconopop? That's so random. Anyway, it looks like it was a fun time. I was actually very sad because I went to go to the bathroom in between and there was a queue, and I came back and we were like already performing. And I don't know, I guess in that moment I was like, you know, I'm not going to go up into the stage and dance. In retrospect, I probably should have. It would have been a lot of fun. Even if I only know one of their songs or whatever. It's fun to vibe that concert is probably what I'd say, but... So yeah, it was basically an impromptu Iconopop concert. Wild. I know. Like, what? So yeah, I had a good time. Food and drinks were fine. I don't know. I would say the merch. I say this with a lot of things, is that I wish more things would do more like subtle merch. There was a kind of merch I liked, but a lot of the merch we have is very much in the style of like musical concerts, where it's like it has all the people who are like a part of it or something written on the back. It has like a location and it's big. I am not a big fan of musical concert t-shirts. I don't like those maximalist designs. I like very minimalist designs. They did have like what looks like a crew neck jumper, which I think had a more minimalist design, but I was like, I don't know, it didn't really appeal to me. That's my only thing. Like I know I'm in the minority here, so I don't expect him to appeal to me because I'm not like a huge Geoguessr fan. But part of me does like, I would have bought a Geoguessr merch if I liked one of them. I think maybe if there's like a, because like Geoguessr's like iconic thing to me is like the geographic pin. Apparently they use the avatar as like a sort of like logo, and I'm like, no, I don't care about that. I want the pin. And I saw they had like hats. I don't really wear hats, to be honest, but maybe I should start. Anyway, that's it. So I'm back. I don't know if there'll be a stream. I do need to do a catch-up stream. I'm not sure I'm going to do a birthday stream, to be honest. It probably won't be. It'll probably just be in the afternoon or something. I might do a random catch-up stream. Or I might do a double stream this weekend. We'll see. Anyway, it's good to be back. So, I'm going to round this episode up here. And if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see you again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time. Bye-bye for now.